Hey everybody, I just got my hands on a DJI Mini 2 drone and I am flying it around the farm. I've been flying it for a couple of days now. I really enjoy it and I figured I could talk a little bit about the drone, talk a little bit about the farm, and hopefully you guys will learn something and or have fun just watching the video. So the first thing you'll see here is I auto took off. It's a pretty cool feature where the drone will take off and hover for a meter or two, and then you can take control over it. I'm super impressed by how smooth it is. It almost looks like it's on a boom or something like that. You can see you can tilt the camera up and down 90 degrees. Everything is super smooth. There's 3 different speeds. I'm on the middle speed, the normal speed. I do fly racing drones, as you've seen or may have seen in some of my other videos, so I'm certainly no stranger to flying drones. This one's still a little bit different because you need to also control the camera. Normally my cameras are fixed, and the way I control the camera is just by manipulating where the quad is. So it's a bit of a new new way for me to learn, or a new thing for me to learn to use the camera. You can see there I just zoomed in on the chicken coop and chicken run. This was formerly a shed that we have converted, and now I'm zooming back out, and I think I'm going to go up to about 200 feet. Here in the United States, 400 feet is the legal limit, so I usually try to keep it under that if possible. The Mini 2 is also only 249 grams, so you don't technically need to register it, although I've already I have registration through the FAA with my other drones. So this one falls under that as well. So here we get a straight up and down shot of the sort of the entranceway of the property. This is our animal pen. When we took over the property, you couldn't even walk through here. The grass and weeds and everything were so high. Eventually we'll get some goats and maybe some other critters in there. Right now we have 6 chickens and 6 ducks. They're only 9 or 10 weeks old, but they're huge and they're a lot of fun. You can see the barn with the garage on the side of it as well from here. We do have electricity and internet. Okay, and that's a pretty good view of most of the front of the property. On the lower part of the screen now, there's a bunch of raised beds. We'll eventually get to those and maybe start planting some things in there. We've got our parking lot. We have one of the first junk piles that you'll see. This one is a pretty impressive one. We also moved a bunch of structures out of the animal pen over this way. We actually had a pretty good time doing that. We had a bunch of 4-wheelers over and we were just hooking it up and dragging it over. There's also 3 trailers, as you can see. All 3 of those are filled with stuff. Some of the stuff is okay. The vast majority of it is trash. The other thing you'll see here throughout the property is a number of tracks. We've been riding our 4-wheelers quite a lot through here. The farm is about 56 acres, just a hair under 56 acres. And I figure by now we have probably about 2 miles worth of trails throughout the whole thing. So here's the first good look at what we call field number 1. The property is split up into about 7 different field type areas. There's 3 of them that go horizontally, 3 that go vertically, and some of the ones that go vertical have splits down the middle of them. I'm flying the drone right over the edge of the property. There's also waterways that split up all of the fields. We call this field field number 1. This field will basically just leave as an open field. There's a greenhouse in the middle, so we'll start to use that. Field number 2, we're coming up on here. This is where the orchard is. On the close side to where the drone is right now, there's the orchard. The far side will be the garden. Here's field number 3, which will be our pasture. And that's the end of the horizontal fields. Then we get the vertical fields. And these are going to be sort of the fun zones for me, where we'll have dirt tracks and shooting range, and we'll actually leave a lot of this wild as well. I like having the deer and turkeys and hawks and everything come by. In the upper right-hand corner, that's just off the edge of the property. We've got some neighbors back there. If you look carefully, you will see a couple of deer stands from the previous users or owners of the property. But you'll also see a lot of these trails. So a lot of these trails were here already. We've just made them a little bit more defined by riding it over and over and over and over. Really can't get enough of it. It snakes through the woods. About a third of the property is woods, pretty heavy woods as well. And there now you can just barely see the river that backs the property. So this is the far edge of the property where we have about 600 foot of riverfront. There's a pretty steep hill down to the river, so we're going to need to work on building either stairs or somehow changing the grade a little bit. You saw the little blip there up and down. Sometimes I forget which direction makes the camera go up, which direction makes it go down. Here on the other side, on the right-hand side, they actually do canine training. You saw the canine training facility there just for a second. Now we're back over my property. Getting close to theirs. My property actually ends about here. They only have a little sliver of the woods. Most of it is mine. You can see that middle section. I'm going to fly over there, and I'm actually going to drop the drone down. This is essentially our shooting range. So we shoot, well, I'll drop the drone here straight down to where we're basically going to be doing most of our shooting from, and we shoot away from the river. So far we've just had a couple of shotguns out there. And this is a relatively slow descent. I'm not sure exactly why I wanted to go this slow. I just sort of felt like going slow. And I wanted to bend the camera up so you can get a good view of what the range looks like. Eventually I'll clear that whole area out. One issue with the camera, it doesn't do a great job, as you can see, going from light to dark. So it was trying to figure out whether or not it should be letting in more of the exposure or less. As soon as you saw the sun there, everything else became a shadow. All right, back straight down, facing the camera down, moving forward a little bit, and I'm going to raise her right on back up. I think I go back to maybe 150 feet or so. I don't think I go quite as high as I was before. Up and up and up. It is mid-November here in New York, southern New York State. So most of the leaves have gone, but as you can see there, there's a couple of holdouts, a couple of orange trees and brown trees. And I like this too. You can sort of see the trail. It's about to be in the middle of your screen here that cuts across. We have a few of those that snake through the property. It's fun. There's usually a little jump or a little hill to go over. It's a little tough to gauge the scale from the drone. I'll put another video up relatively soon where I'm following people riding the four-wheelers from the sky, and you get a better idea of the perspective of just how big this place is and how much land there is to explore. So I'm still in that middle normal setting on the drone, and I'm going back basically full throttle. So this is as fast as it goes forward in the normal setting. There's a sport setting, which will allow it to go a little bit faster, but I'm still just so impressed by how smooth this is. In this shot here in the middle there, that's an abandoned RV. We have a couple other abandoned vehicles on the property. And this trailer that I'm going to come hop down to, and we're going to take a look inside there just for a brief second. It's mostly empty. We'll eventually probably convert that into a tiny home, as well as those two sheds that you can see that at one point had tarps on the roofs, which have all ripped apart. There you can see, again, the camera struggling to go from light to dark. It eventually kind of figures it out there. So here we are looking inside the trailer. When I was first flying, I was going to go inside it, but I decided, nah, not today. I didn't want to break a propeller or anything like that. So I figured it'd be best to just start working my way on back. But this still does show the capabilities of this drone and just how smooth everything is with it. And it's really easy to fly. The racing drones that I fly are significantly more difficult. You have to pay a lot more attention to what you're doing. This one, if you just kind of let go of all the controls, it'll just stop and it'll just hover right where it is. And you can spin it around in a circle, move the camera up and down, kind of collect your bearings with relatively low risk. Okay, this is going to be about it. You can see we had a little fire going, having a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for some more fun drone and farm stuff. Thanks a lot. Okay, see ya.